So hey guys, today we're taking a look at a replay, and this replay I think is kind of going to be a little bit rare. It's going to be in fact a Blackwing mirror, and my opponent here honestly doesn't play that well. The most interesting thing about this game is probably the little niche interactions between the Blackwing mirror, and yeah, that's probably about it. So my opponent here is going to like grief really hard. So first thing they're going to do is they're going to immediately do Black Whirlwind here, and the card that they searched off of this normal here, it's going to be Vata, which is not that egregious, okay, but afterwards they're going to search Sharnga, which is not that outrageous either. It's fine. Then I'm going to notice that they're in fact going to send Harmattan, and my question is literally, what does Harmattan even do? I have no idea why this is in my opponent's deck at all here. I guess we'll check their deck list afterwards, but alright. Harmattan, summon Blackwing Dragon, and right here, they're going to then make Borea Storm, which is just a big old question mark for me. The optimal play here, I think, is to definitely go Nathung and make Nathung by returning the Sudri. So they're going to send Shamal with Borea Storm, which is even more questionable to me. Makes literally no sense, but okay. And then here we're going to do Blackwing Assault Dragon like this. And then we're going to make, they had Chinook in hand, or not Chinook, Orochi in hand to begin with, right? I think. And then they use this to make Hot Red Dragon Arfiend Abyss, which I think is kind of troll, because you could have ended on a lot more. We're missing out on like a Disbatter for sure, and also a full Armor Master would be nice. I'm pretty sure you can get to it. So in their hand right now, they have Black Whirlwind +1 unknown, I believe, right? And that set is Black Whirlwind because they added it back with Zephyros, and it's not a real back row, so I'm pretty sure it's just a bluff. But anyways, then they special summon Blackwing Assault Dragon by banishing the Boreas Storm and the Blackwing Dragon. So this here, just, yeah, I don't think this play was very good. We could have technically, I think, abused the Black Whirlwind a little bit more, and you should definitely have access to Chinook here, which you don't. Which is weird, because you should be playing Chinook anyways, and despite sending the Shamal, we never did trigger the Shamal, right? So we didn't use its effect to add back a card, which is strange, because even if you at least added back Harmattan, you would have been able to special summon Harmattan to make Chaos Angel with Zephyros. So, okay. But here, we get to see some interesting stuff a little bit here. So, going to special summon Simoon here. And then we're going to do this. And honestly, Imperm should not have been enough to stop them, like, at all from comboing. Since they started with Simoon, it should have been, like, really rough. And they had, keep in mind, access to Sharnga, Orochi, and also Vata from the Black Whirlwind, which I couldn't stop at all. The only thing I really stopped is Sudri effect to tribute summon token, or tribute a monster and summon a token, and also the effect to search. But the effect to summon a token, you can use that later because it's hard once per turn. The search is also not once per turn, so you could have technically actually recycled the Sudri and made Nathung and did the normal again to then grab the Shamal later, which is completely doable. The only thing you miss in this case would be the fact that I believe you wouldn't be able to necessarily search the Twin Shadow here, which is perfectly fine. And having two Blackwing Assault Dragon here is actually pretty worthless, because one of the reasons that Blackwing Assault Dragon comes in pairs is because technically the idea is you summon it once on the field using Blackwing Dragon and also Blackwing Borea Storm, the Wicked Wind, and then they get sent to the graveyard, and then you summon it again. And this matters because of Black Feather Whirlwind, which has the effect here. If a dark monster you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can remove one Black Feather counter from your field instead, which synergizes with the fact that we have Blackwing Assault Dragon's effect here, where each time your opponent activates a monster effect, you place one Black Feather counter on this card. And both Blackwing Assault Dragons would be gaining counters whenever a monster effect is being activated. And there is this other effect here, also not hard once per turn. Nothing's hard once per turn on this card, not even the summoning condition uh, up here. You can Zeus the field essentially, but when it says destroy all cards on the field, of course it includes your own, but you would be able to protect your monsters at least from being destroyed with the effect of Whirlwind, which my opponent in this case does not have. So yeah, in general, they just outplayed themselves a little bit there by not playing optimally. And they negated Sudri, which is kind of useless because the Sudri effect doesn't matter. So if I did or did not have this copy of Blackfeather Whirlwind, it wouldn't even matter. That negate was just awful. So for me, it was different because I was specifically going second, right? So when I negated Sudri, it was because it was kind of out of necessity. After seeing them add Vata and Shunga, I didn't think I would have had a somewhat decent thing to negate. So if I allow for Shamal, then allow my opponent to search Shamal, then we can Shamal effect in the graveyard to add back Sudri. We can also have Zephyros returning the Black Feather Whirlwind, which is not really good for me, right? So the only hope to really well to impact their turn the most, I think, for me, with the knowledge I had, was to prevent my opponent from searching Shamal off of the Sudri. But if they already had Black Feather Whirlwind, that means that would have been a bad negate. And then the optimal negate becomes, in this case, then the Vata, I believe, or Nathung if they are going to summon Nathung. But yeah, we're going to summon Blackwing Dragon, and Blackwing Dragon has the effect where if you would take damage from a card effect, place one Black Feather counter on this card instead. So technically at this point, Blackwing Assault Dragon can now no longer burn me as long as I have Blackwing Dragon on the field, which makes the mirror awkward, so you can't really burn me. So then the next idea that you might have as my opponent in this case is that you might want to activate the effect to just board wipe, because there isn't very good extension in Blackwing, just period, right? So they already used a lot of their important key cards, so that they would not be doing too hot here, honestly. And since this is Black Feather Whirlwind set, I have no idea what this card is necessarily. It could be technically like maybe another Sudri, but even if it was another Sudri, you're down like 2 Blackwing Assault Dragons. You don't have Hot Red Dragon Arcfiend Abyss anymore. You already used Zephyros effect, so you'd be a lot worse than me. And anyways, I can't like special summon Shunga unless I can, well, unless this condition up here is met, which can't be met if there are no monsters on the field, so whatever. So here we're going to activate Black Feather Whirlwind, and we're going to special summon Draco Berserker at the 10E, and this abuses the simple fact that my opponent summoned this in fence position, and even if they, well, if they did not do this, I wouldn't have been able to do this Draco Berserker play. So we're going to go battle with Draco Berserker, and then at the start of the damage step, I'm going to negate Blackwing Assault Dragon. And the reasoning behind this is because if I activate Draco Berserker of the 10E's effect here to gain attack, which I will need to run over one of these other guys, if I use that effect, then my opponent will be able to they'll be able to get the 4th counter, and then it'll be open game state, and then they'll be able to nuke the entire field. So here we're just going to do that, and despite this now being at 4 counters, it can't activate the effect to board wipe because it is the damage step. So we're just going to simply run over that by battle, and then we'll run over this as well. And then here, now my opponent has 0 interactions unless that hand card is something, and they simply give up at this point. Because now I have the freedom to basically do whatever, right? So here I can make Disbatter. I can loop the Sudri with Nathung. And I actually still have this copy of my like Monster Reborn essentially still. And well, let's see what my opponent is actually on here. They are on Nathung. Chaos Angel. Baron is completely troll. Baron is not something you should be running because it has insane anti-synergy. They're playing some chaos cards with the pistols, which is weird. Small World. Small World is fine, but checking real quick, the deck has a fatal flaw, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's a fatal flaw. You can't bridge from a Bestial to a Blackwing. That's a pretty fatal flaw right there. So if I were to have, let's say, for example, Serenair and I don't know, let's say Serenair with Vata here. So Serenair, Vata, or maybe something else. Maybe it's actually worse than Vata. Maybe it's like Serenair plus Orochi. Normally we would be able to like go Small World to banish. Well, in one of my builds, I think we'd be able to go Small World, banishing Serenair, and then we would banish a different Dark Monster, and then we would be able to then add the Simoon. So in this case, all of these guys have too much in common, so you wouldn't be able to banish Bestial to go from Bestial to Blackwing. You could technically banish the Orochi to grab Sudri, though, which is not nearly as good. But I mean, it's an option. And also with the Ruddy Rose, this is also not that good. Yeah. So the issue with specifically the Ruddy Rose and the Baron is that as insane anti-synergy here. So with Simoon, we have this right here. You cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn, except for dark monsters. So that's awkward. And then with the Bestials, if you summon the Bestials, of course, you can't access your Blackwing cards. And I'm not really sure the Bestials are like that good in this event. Like Bestials have some effect on branded, but it's not even going to be that great of an effect, I don't think. So it's kind of whatever. And then genuinely, I have no idea why you're running one Harmattan and one Chinook. It's kind of weird to look at. Honestly, you should be running just 2 copies of Chinook over this. I think Harmattan. Uh, why do you need the non-tuner? What's the non-tuner for with this extra deck? No idea. And also, Vata, I believe, also has a lock on it as well. Right here, you cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck for the rest of this turn except for dark monsters. So it's another dark lock. So, uh, I mean, technically you might be able to go into these at some point, but that would be probably not a turn 1 play. So totally not worth doing. I don't think. And also, we're only running 2 Shamal and 1 Black Feather Whirlwind. I don't really like that. And 2 copies of Black Whirlwind. Hmm. Well, I mean, it's kind of preference, I suppose, to some extent, but I don't like the fact that we're running 2 Triple Tactics Talents and 2 copies of Core of Chaos here. Personally, just not that big of a fan. Not a fan of the Small World package with the Bestials either. It would be, I think, better just to play more pure Blackwing and just a few more hand traps, just assorted hand traps, and we can probably just cut Ash Blossom Joy Spring as well because Ash Blossom, you don't really need it. What would be a better option? I think might be that might be worth considering. Might be something like a Drone Lockbird or just a different card entirely. Because there's no Maxi, you're not like as in danger. So for example, in this specific duel, I'm going to be hit by a Charmer. I guess we won't go through the replay, I suppose. I think. No, wait, it's not this one. This one, my opponent times out. No, it's this one. My opponent resolves a Charmer on me, I think, right? Is it this one? No, it's not this one. This one, maybe. Not even sure which one it was anymore. But one of these duels, somewhere here, Charmy is resolved on me, and it just genuinely doesn't do anything because you still couldn't beat my board after well, the few draws you did get, because the amount of draws you get is more than half, because I essentially, for every synchro summon, you have to do like, well, not necessarily two special summons, but you do get one normal summon, so you could technically do normal summon, special summon, and then special from extra. But for the most part, you're special summoning like two guys and then special summoning the third guy, so you're getting like one third the draws you would from Max E. So it's like not that threatening, although like there was like some viability in being having like towers and certain like interactions with the Blackwing deck. It enables you to kind of just well, be fine against certain things. So like Dark Ruler no more and certain other board breakers, right? And we also have Blackwing Assault Dragon to kind of stop our opponent from playing too much. So our opponent can't play completely for free, despite having all those cards. They can't just activate them all willy-nilly, or you burn per game, essentially, even though you activate the Maximum Charmy, whatever. So this kind of restricts play, despite like Maxi maybe resolving against you a little bit. And you also have potentially like a Hot Red Dragon Arcade Abyss to stop something like a Forbidden Droplet to prevent your opponent from being able to turn off this effect. So yeah, I mean, I did say a few things about their deck, but honestly, I could adjust mine a little bit. It's just mostly ratio things. Like, we don't really need the Dark Hole or Raigeki anymore. This was like, this is leftover from the other event. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.